Okay. Excellent. Okay, so we're gonna start from the Mishnah on Memches. Memches, Amud Beis says Zayrin Tachta Yerakis B'Maisa Geshamim. See that? See the Mishnah? You with me?
Yeah.
Okay. It says like this: that you're allowed to plant under the trees. We're on 48 B at a Mishnah. 48 B. You're allowed to plant vegetables underneath the Asherah tree in the winter. But not in the summer. What would the difference be the winter and the summer? In the summer, you'd be getting benefit from the tree because it needs a little bit of shade in the summer. But in the winter, there's no benefit in planting under a tree. It doesn't need the shade. So you're allowed to plant under the tree. You're not gaining from the Avodah Zara. You're not allowed to have a nah from Avodah Zara. You're not allowed to benefit. So in the winter, there's no benefit. In the summer, there would be a benefit. You can't do it. But chazirin doesn't mean pigs here. Chazirin means lettuce, like chazeres. And lettuce, according to this opinion, not in the summer, not in the winter, because there's a benefit. There's the benefit from the tree, even in the winter. Apparently, you need partial shade, even in the winter. The shade is always good for lettuce. I didn't know that. Rabbi Yossi says, when it comes to vegetables, there's also a problem in the winter.
The commentary says it's not the shade, the trees protecting from the wind.
Oh, really?
Delicacy.
So who says that? Because Rashi doesn't say that.
Meiri.
Oh, Meiri. Meiri, very nice.
Oh, Meiri.
Okay, Dr. Stein tells me that the Meiri says that it's the wind that it means. It's not the shade in the winter. It's the protection from the wind. Nice shot. Rabbi Yossi says, even vegetables in the winter, Neshan Nevoya, Neviya, Nevoya, they share us aleim, Habalin the Zevel. The compost, the leaves fall off the tree, it makes compost. It's fertilizer. And so he's telling the Rabbanan that you can't even in the winter, you can't even put it there because it's even vegetables. Because the leaves are going to fall off, it's going to benefit the plants. Okay. At the end of this whole Gemara, we're going to find out that the Yossi doesn't really hold with this. He's just arguing, just to tell. He says, "I don't even agree with this whole thing." But according to you, it's you can sort of feel that in his comment. Okay, the Maimra is this to say the Rabbi Yossi Savar is ever said? Look what Rabbi Yossi says. Rabbi Yossi is saying that in the winter you're getting compost from the Asherah tree. The leaves are falling off. Okay, so now you're not allowed to do that. What does Rabbi Yossi hold? He must hold that Zev is a Masa. This is very interesting like this. If I have two causes for the same effect, one of them is a kosher cause and one of them is not kosher. I have two types of yeast that I put into a dough. One was kosher, one wasn't, and they caused the dough to rise. If I have, we're going to see about two types of wood that are heating the oven. Or if I have, we're going to have, what else is there? Oh, a whole bunch of different cases of Zevazet Garden. There's different causes. Okay, now, do I say that I look at the non-kosher cause, or do I look at the kosher cause? Which one is the one that's is it going to become prohibited? Or do we say that no, without the kosher one, it never would have happened. So you can't view that it's happening because of the non-kosher one. You need the kosher. The other one saying no, without the non-kosher one. So Zevazet Goyim, this and this is causing, it's a machlokes. Apparently over here, I have some fertilizer. The fact is it's growing from the ground. There's also some compost coming from the Asherah tree. So according to Rabbi Yossi, it seems that it's going to be aser because Zevazet Goyim is aser. The Rabbanan Amri and the Rabbanan say Zevazet Goyim mutter. The Rabbanan say that you don't have to worry about the compost coming from the Asherah tree, right? They said it's no problem for the vegetables in the winter. So don't worry about compost coming. Why? Because I have two clauses, and the fact is it's growing from the ground. Besides for the compost, there's nutrients in the soil itself. Where it says that that's a problem because we learned exactly the opposite. The Rabbi Yossi is not strict and the Rabbanan are not lenient. It's exactly the opposite. Rabbi Yossi is lenient and the Rabbanan are strict. We learned in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yossi Aimer, it's a Mishnah 5 pages ago. Rabbi Yossi says that if you have an Avodah Zara, you're allowed to shave it down, like grind it up and let it go into the wind. And the concern was that it's going to become minerals for the plants. And so Rabbi Yossi says, don't worry about that. Rabbi Yossi is not worried about this adding to the cause of the growth of the plants. Because Zebazah Garim is mutter. But here Rabbi Yossi says Zebazah Garim is awesome. He's worried about the compost, the foliage falling. And what did the sages tell him? The sages say, no, you can't grind it up and throw it into the wind. It's going to become fertilizer. So the sages over there are strict. They argue with your base. The sages over here say, don't worry about the leaves falling. So we have a contradiction, Rabbi Yossi and the Rabbanan. Look at how the Gemara puts this. As the first Rabbanan say, you can't take anything from it. It should be usher. You can't take anything from what's prohibited. Funny. So, Kasha the Rabbanan, Kasha the Rabbi Yossi, I have a contradiction. The Rabbanan and the Rabbanan have a contradiction. Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yossi, both of them are contradicting each other. So, what's the simple solution? How would you resolve this? You're familiar with Gemara. So, you resolve this is, well, actually, the way the Gemara is going to offer one solution is switch around one of them and then everything fits, right? But first, it's going to do it a little bit. First, it says, I can resolve Rabbi Yossi. Where was Rabbi Yossi strict? He was strict by the vegetables. Where was Rabbi Yossi lenient? By shaving or grinding up the Avodah Zara. It says like this. Hasam, over there, when you're grinding the Avodah Zara, but you're actually destroying the Avodah Zara. What happens when you destroy an Avodah Zara? You're mevatel it. So it's really permissible. So but there, as you're grinding it, you're destroying it. So what's the rule? If a non-Jew destroys an Avodah Zara, it's going to be kosher. It's going to be everything's acceptable. So for there, the fact that he says that you're allowed to grind it up and throw it, and he's not worried about Zebazah Garim that it's going to cause the thing is because it's not even usher, because it's already been nullified. It's not an Avodah Zara. But over here, it's not being destroyed. The fact that the leaves are falling off is not the destruction of the Avodah Zara. That's how it works. It's a deciduous.
It's worse attraction in New England. False.
That's right. Yeah. So the leaves fall off. That's how it grows. So then that's why it's also. So we answered the contradiction in Rabbi Yossi. Why does he say it's also? Because that's natural. He's not destroying it. Why does he say it's mutter? Because it's being destroyed. But really, what would he hold? He probably holds. Zebazah Garim is really awesome. Yeah, because when you're destroying it, when you're not destroying it, it's awesome. He really holds that it's awesome. Why over there did he say that it's mutter? Because you're destroying it. Okay, but the Rabbanan Kasha, what are you going to do with the Rabbanan? The Rabbanan over here say that there's no problem when you're not destroying it. When you are destroying it, they say that there is a problem. You can't answer that. Umar says, okay, Eifa, turn the names around. One of the Mishnayos has to go the other way. Instead of saying Rabbi Yossi holds that it's lenient or usher, you switch it around and then it will fit with the other. Where it says, we don't actually have to switch it around. We could do this a little different. We could say it's like this. The Rabbi Yossi Kiddushanina. We already answered Rabbi Yossi. We're only left with one problem, the Rabbanan. And the Rabbanon, Kedam Rav Mari, Breder Rav Kana. Rav Mari, the son of Rav Kana, he already resolved this. There's a discussion about if you have a korban that got a mum, and then you want to you shecht it, and then it has to be treated. Starting, you're going to give the value of it to the base of mikvah. The question is, should you skin it in a way where you'll increase the value of the meat, or should you skin it in a way where you'll increase the value of the hide? So, but there it says that you should not increase the value of the hide. Don't increase the value of the hide. Don't skin it that way. Just skin it the other way where the hide is going to be worth less. So the problem over there is, but then the base of English is going to lose out. So Rav Mari, Breder Rav Kana said, it's not losing out, because when you would increase the value of the hide, you'll end up ruining the meat. And we're more concerned about the meat than the hide. So what does that have to do with us? It says, we're talking about in the winter. So we're saying like this. Yeah, I know you're going to get a little bit of compost from the tree, but you have to look at the big picture. You're also getting shade, and that's not going to grow as well in the winter if you have too much shade. So yes, you're getting compost, but it balances itself out. The gain is also the loss. Okay. Basically, what we just said over here is that according to the Rabbanon, the reason why over here there's no problem with getting the shade, or not the shade, getting the compost from the Asherah tree is because you're not gaining. You're actually losing. That's it. In the big picture, you're actually losing. Okay, so, but what comes out is, really the Rabbanon holds Zev as a goyrem. Could also be Aser. What do they hold? Zev as a goyrem is Aser or not? The way we answered before was Zev as a goyrem according to Rabbi Yossi is Aser. The Rabbanon hold also Zev as a goyrem Aser. Okay. So why over here is it mutzer? So 1 second. What are we going to do with the back of the year? She said that the Rabbanon said Zev is a goyrem Aser over there. The Rabbanon says Zev is a goyrem Aser over here. Yeah, and the reason is, so why over here do they allow it? Because you're not really gaining. That's what they're.
It says what the tree improves with its leaves, it spoils with its shade.
Yeah.
But you can't have both. I mean,
So it balances it out.
No, if you've lost the leaves to make the.
Let me explain this to you.
Shade.
Let me explain this. We're not talking about where all the leaves fall off. We're talking about the leaves are falling off, but new leaves are growing. It's not actually a deciduous. Think about this. Yeah, it's not actually deciduous.
From the Bronx, you've never seen a tree.
I didn't.
No, they have the trees in the Bronx. Okay,
Every 5 miles, there's a tree.
you'd be surprised. You know what's there's beautiful trees in New York. There's beautiful trees.
In parks.
Oh, only in Park Garden.
Yeah.
In Crown Heights, Eastern Parkway, they have all these nice trees along the road.
Taken to the Bronx.
Okay. The Zara Rabbi Yossi, Zev is a goyrem Aser. Rabbi Yossi holds, what is that? Zev is a goyrem is Aser. Rabbi Yossi holds that if you have 2 causes, it's going to be Aser. It's supposed to be Batanan. Batanan, Rabbi Yossi Aimer, Noitin Yifar Shalarla. You have a tree that's under 3 years old. You're allowed to take a branch off it, like a little thing, and plant it. Because even though it's within 3 years, and it's Arla, but Arla is only on the fruit, not on the branches. But you can't take a walnut from that young tree, because you can't have benefit from the fruit. You're not using an art scope? Oh, easy. Okay. Very nice. You can't use it makes you free, because the walnut is the fruit. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav, that if you did plant it, it's going to be permissible on the bottom line. Or if you graft it, it's going to be permissible. which means that Rabbi Yossi holds that if there's two causes, it's going to be permissible. What are the two causes here? Well, it grows from the ground and it also grows from the seed. And not as the seed. Right?
It gets a jump start on the orla. If you graft it.
Yeah, that's what's coming out. But if you graft it, there's different shots over here. One shot is that if you graft it, we consider the new tree to be the age of the old tree.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the shots of it.
As opposed to renewing it starting from scratch.
Starting from the beginning. Okay. So, but we're seeing that Zebazeh Goyim, when I have two causes to this tree, I look at them leniently, not at the strict way. And also, Tanya Nami Hachi, you learned in a Bryce, Maider of Yaifi, not give it's muddy. That if you plant
tree limbs, the tree trunks, and shade in the grounds. The subway held. Yeah.
The same thing there's in a Bryce. It's Rabbi Yehuda Marav, it's also in a Bryce. So our question is that how could you tell me that Rabbi Yossi holds that Zebazeh Goyim is us, or Rabbi Yossi says Zebazeh Goyim is mutter, this and this is the cause is permissible? Okay, follow the question. Rabbi Yossi and Bayas said that the leaves cause compost, right, which makes it prohibited. And by us, thank you. And by the by the Arla, it says that even though it's coming from a prohibited source, but nevertheless, I look at the kosher source and I say it's permissible. When I have two sources, say it's permissible. Rabbi Yossi, there's a contradiction in Rabbi Yossi. How could you say that he holds this when I see he holds something else? The Gemara gives a classic answer that you can't compare Avodah Zara to other prohibitions. Rabbi Yossi was lenient by Arla, but he's strict by Avodah Zara. You have to look at what we're dealing with. Look at the halacha. So that's a good answer. The Gemara says, Mishani la. Does Rabbi Yossi make a distinction between these two? It's telling me something over here, but I don't know. Something about a Fitbit. Okay. Mishani does make that difference for Tanya, but we have a brisa. Sadeshin is davla bezevel avedis kechavel. Let's say a field was fertilized with fertilizer from an idol. What does fertilizer from an idol mean? There must have been idol defecates.
Oh, from an animal.
From an animal that was worshipped, or an animal that was offered as a sacrifice?
Used in idols.
That was offered? That was offered. But how did it, before it's offered, the only way to get fertilizer from it would be if it's...
They were saying for the dog.
From the dung. But that means it was already, but it's only prohibited once it's sacrificed, not before it's sacrificed.
I guess it was from work. It says
I think
an animal used in idol worship.
Maybe it means that the animal was worshipped, not it was offered as a sacrifice.
He has here an animal used in idol worship.
Used in idol worship. What does used in idol worship mean? It's easy for me to explain it if it was worth it, because then it becomes prohibited, and now the dung that comes from it is prohibited. But the field is not only fertilized by this dung; it's fertilized by this nutrients in the soil. So it's Zebazeh Goyim and it mixes in. So and also a cow that was fattened with grains of an idol. So Tanichada Sadatizra Paratishachat. One Bryce says that don't worry about that. You can plant the field. Don't worry about that cow that all the food was idle. Don't worry about it. You can shaft it. Taniyidach, the other Bryce says Sadatavar. Want the field you have to leave fallow. And a para tears it. Another one, and the cow, you have to let it get skinny, let all lose the weight. Send it to the gym. So my love, is it not Rabbi Yossi Rabbanan? Look what's going on over here. I have a case of Avodah Zara, and we tried to say that Rabbi Yossi is strict by Avodah Zara, but is lenient by other prohibitions. But now I have a contradiction in the Brisa, and in order to resolve the contradiction, I'm going to need to say that Rabbi Yossi is lenient for Avodah Zara, which means that he doesn't make a distinction between Avodah Zara and other things. My love, Rabbi Yossi Rabbanan. The Gemara says, no, you don't have to do that. You could really say that Rabbi Yossi makes a distinction between Avodah Zara and other prohibitions. They're strict, other prohibitions are lenient. So why do we have two opinions in a brisa? We have two different brises. One says yes, one says no. One of them has to be Rabbi Yossi, right? That's the only way of resolving this. Is one's Rabbi Yossi. It says no. You don't have to say that. You can say one of the brises is Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbanan. Why do you have to mix Rabbi Yossi into this? We could say Rabbi Yossi has our old answer. There's a difference between Avodah Zara and so what's going on over here? I have two brises, contradictory brises. I'll resolve it with other opinions. Not with Rabbi Yossi. Leave Rabbi Yossi out. Which says, well, hi, Rabbi Eliezer Rabbanan. Which Rabbi Eliezer, which Rabbanan are you referring to when you brought this up? Elame Rabbi Eliezer Rabbanan, or maybe it's Rabbi Eliezer Rabbanan of the East. It's not. There's a Mishnah like this. The
East, not the East.
The yeast of Chulin and the yeast of Truma. That fell into a dough of Chulin. Now, the laws of Truma are that only a Kayin is allowed to eat it. It has to be kept pure and everything. But I have yeast in this dough that's making it rise. And if it's causing something to happen to it, it's a catalyst for so then it never becomes nullified. Right? So look what's happening. It's falling in. Neither of them have enough potency to make it rise. But together they do. When it's starved from too. But together they have enough potency. So it's machlekes. Rabbi Eliezer says you have to look at what fell in last. The Chachamim say the Chachamim say that no. The only way that I could say that this is usher is if the prohibited over here, it's not prohibited here, it's truma. If the truma has enough strength to make the whole dough rise, then I would say that it's usher. But if they're both doing it together, then I would say that it's mutter. Basically, the Chachamim holds Zevazeh Goyrem is mutter. This and this cause, Goyrem is causing. This and this causing is permissible. Rabbi Eliezer that says I go after whichever one is last. The old Zevazeh Goyrem, two causes. The last one couldn't have done it. It needed the other one. Nevertheless, it's prohibited.
English, like carry.
It's interesting. You could mix that together, but anyways, yeah. Abaya comes along Abaya and he says that when did Rabbi Eliezer say this? When did Rabbi Eliezer say that you go after the last one? That's if you took out that it's going to be permissible. That's if we took out the prohibited one, and now this one fell in. But if they're both in there right now, then it's usher. Even though the last one was the permissible one. Why? Because he holds that Goyim is usher. If they're both in there, it's usher. Very nice. So I have not a contradiction. I have a solution to the contradiction between the two brises by saying one is Rabbi Eliezer, one's the Rabbanan. Where it says Mimai, the time of the Rabbi Eliezer Kedabaya. 1 second. The only way that you could explain this is if you say that Rabbi Eliezer is holding like Abaya. Now, Abaya is a much later sage. He's an Amayra. Rabbi Eliezer is a Tana. Abaya has a certain explanation for what Rabbi Eliezer holds. But maybe Rabbi Eliezer himself didn't really hold it that. Maybe there's other ways of explaining Rabbi Eliezer. Maybe really Rabbi Eliezer holds that Zevazeh Goyim is mutter. Why do we say that it's prohibited? That's because whatever falls in last is what I follow. Ikamer be Isura. If what fell in last is prohibited, then it's prohibited. Ikamer be If what fell in last is permissible, then it's mutarin. Bain Salki, Bain my Salki. I don't care if you took it out, you didn't take it out. Maybe the way it works over here is that I just follow whatever fell in last, and then it's not a din in Zevaz Goyim. It's just whatever caused it at the end, the final blow.
Does it matter the ratio?
Doesn't matter the ratio. The final blow is what broke the camel's back.
Oh, yeah.
I said a bracha already. Wanted to learn a Rashi. Passed it already, so it's fine. Look for you. Ella, so it can't be the machlekes between Rebbe Lezer and the Rabbanan. Because we just said that maybe that's not the Pshat in Rebbe Lezer. That's the way Abai explains it. Ella, so we need another way of explaining the contradiction between the two brides. So we'll go like this. Ella, Rebbe Lezer, Rabbanan, the Eitzim. Rather, it's Rebbe Lezer and Rabbanan of the wood. Now, wood is referring to wood from a Asherah tree. It's an an. Started in the Mishnah. Not the lemon Eitzim. If you take wood from an Asherah tree, Asurabana, you can't have benefit from it. Talking about heating an oven. Let's say you put the wood in the oven to heat it up. Now, the way the ovens were made back then, they were made out of clay. You would heat it up the first time, you would heat it up really, really hot, and that would harden the clay, like a kiln would harden it. And then after that, the oven was fine. Then you would use it again and again. But the first heating up wasn't just for the bread. The first heating up was to make the oven, to strengthen the oven. So if it's a new oven and you took wood from a Asherah tree, you got to break the oven. You can't use that oven because it was created with prohibited wood. Yashan, if the oven was already made before, it's already older, the oven was heated before, now you're just heating bread. So you let the oven cool down and you heat it up again with kosher. There's no remnant from the non-kosher wood, Zara wood in a cold oven. Only while it still retains its heat. But you let it cool down and you put in new wood, and it's going to be fine. Offer by a sapas. There's no food in there. Let it cool before you put the food in. Let it cool down. Heat it up again, and then put food. Let's say offer by a sapas. Let's say you did have bread in there. You cooked bread. So now, Rashi explains like this: if you cook bread in it, if it's a new oven. If it's the case where I had used non-kosher wood, idolatrous wood to make the oven, and now I cook bread in it with kosher wood, now I have two causes that are heating this bread. One is the oven that was prohibited, plus the new wood. So what's going to be the halacha? Asurabana, you cannot benefit from it. There is another option. Let's say it's an older oven, but I used non-kosher wood, idolatrous wood in it. So then it's a surabana, right? But even if it's a new oven, the same thing would apply. So what we're seeing over here is that if I have two causes, the fact that it's a new oven and it was made with non-kosher wood, it was heated up the first time with idolatrous wood. It means the oven is prohibited to have benefit from it. Plus, it's now heated, the oven cooled down, and now I heated it again with kosher wood, regular wood. So now I have two causes feeding this bread. I say the bread is prohibited. So you see, Zevaz Goyim is also. If it mixes into other ones, it's not bottled. The bread is not bottled. That's one shot over here. The bread is not bottled. Rabbi Lezer says that there is a solution, even though it's prohibited. But there's a solution. What you do is you take a little bit of money, the value of the bread, or maybe the value of the wood. You throw it into the Yamamela. That means that you didn't really get benefit from that wood because you just threw that value away. So then you can use it. Well, Amrullah, the sages said the main pity of it looks like you're redeeming an idol when you're doing this. Yeah. There's no redemption for idols. It's prohibited. It's prohibited. When it comes to kachim, you could redeem it, and the value goes to the base of Mikdash. This is the opposite. It's bad, and there's no good. You has to be destroyed. Okay, now we have the opinion of the Rabbanan. We have the opinion of Rebbe Lezer. The problem is they both hold Zevaz Goyim is awesome. So Rebbe Lezer had his opinion that you could sort of redeem it by throwing out some money. So, we were looking for two different opinions, not the same opinion. We had a contradiction between two brises. You don't resolve it by giving me two people that hold the same thing, right? So the Rabbanan, the Pliga, the Rabbalazar Manino, you told me that it's a Machlekes Rabbanan Rabbalazar. Who are those Rabbanan? Elim Rabbanan Deitzri. If you say the Rabbanan that we're talking about the wood, Achmari Machmri. Not only are they hold that it's that Zebazah Garim is Aser, that both if two causes it's prohibited, but they're even stricter than Rabbi Eliezer. They hold that you can't redeem it. So Ella Rabbanan Desar. Rather, it's the Rabbanan of the East. Remember, the Rabbanan of the East said that it would only be prohibited if there's enough in the of the truma yeast to make the whole dough leaven, to make the whole dough right. So Ima the Shamatli the Rabbanan to Mekile Besar. Maybe that was the case of truma. Maybe the Rabbanan are lenient over there. They say Zev is a garim mutter. Maybe that's because it's truma, and they're lenient over there by the yeast. But by Avodah Mekili, but by Avodah Zara, they're going to say that they're lenient. Maybe not. Maybe they don't hold this by Avodah Zara. Maybe they would be strict. So you can't now tell me that the Rabbanan that are lenient by yeast of Truma are going to be lenient also by Avodah Zara. Rather, we're going to need to say Harav Yosef Rabbanan. Go back to our first answer. At a contradiction in the Brisa, we'll say one is the Rabbi Yossi and the other one is the Rabbanan. Rabbi Yossi was the lenient one. Problem is, why does Rabbi Yossi over here in our Mishnah say that you can't use vegetables underneath the tree? You can't grow vegetables there because the Zebus Agarim is going to be us. He told me Rabbi Yossi holds that it's lenient. Where it says, Rabbi Yossi l'devrayim derabanan amalahu. Rabbi Yossi was just talking to the rabbis. He says, "Liddi, you want to know what I hold? Zebus Agarim mutter. I hold that there's no problem by Zebus Agarim. There's two causes. I say that it's permissible. It's cool, but I know you fellows, you're strict. You hold Zebus Agarim is prohibited. Idling mias. You should agree to me that after Iraq is based on some, according to you.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, it looks like it's good. Yeah. So you should agree to me that vegetables, even in the winter, should be prohibited. Why? Because the benefit that they're getting from the leaves that are falling, the compost, should make a. He says, I don't hold that there's a problem, but you that make a problem out of compost, out of the cause, you should make a problem from the compost as well. Rabbanan. So what do the Rabbanan say to that? That's a good claim. Like Rav Mari, the son of Rav Kana said, that what you gain from the compost, you lose from the shade. You're not really gaining. I know Zebus Agarim is usher, but over here, you're not really gaining value. You're not interested about because you have added compost. You have to look at the other side. There's always some side effect. Yes?
Always another side.
Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, halach Rav Yossi. Rav Yehuda says, name Shmuel, halach like Rav Yossi. That's Rav Yossi hold. Zebus Agarim is mutter. Who ginsa is double bezibla david scum? There was a garden that was fertilized with fertilizer of Avodah Zara. Shalach Rav Amram Kamei Rabbi Yosef. They asked the question from Rabbi Yosef. Amalei, he said, Hachi Amar Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda says name of Shmuel. Halacha ki Rabbi Yosef. The halacha is like Rabbi Yosef. Usually the halacha is like Rabbi Yosef anyway, but that's only when he argues with one person. Here he's arguing with the sages. So. But I have a clear statement also. Zebus Agarim is mutter. Two causes is going to be permissible. Not for men this Mishnah we learned already. On top of 49. If you took wood from the Avodah Zara tree, Asurim Bana, can I benefit from that wood? Kizik Basatan, or let's say you heated the oven. Same Chadash, if it's a new oven, this is the source of the Mishnah that we quoted on the previous page. This is the actual Mishnah. Before there was the Gemara quoted. If it's a new oven, then you have to break the oven. In Yashan, if it's an old oven, you have to let it cool down. If you heated bread, you cannot benefit from that bread. If the bread mixes in with other ones, They're all prohibited. We don't say that it's bottle. Rebbe Lezer says, you have to throw the value. You can get away with this by throwing the value into the sea, then you can eat the bread. Amalai, the sages said, you can't redeem idolatrous bread. Not karkar. You took from it a needle. And what you're going to do now, you took a splinter, a needle off the tree. Now you're going to use it to sew. Asabana, you can't have benefit from the garment, or from the needle. If you used it to weave a garment, asabana, you can't have benefit from the garment. If this one gets mixed to one pile of shmatas, and then from this pile it goes into another pile. So coolness, surma, everything becomes prohibited. Rabbi Lezer says, no. You can take a little money, throw it into the sea, and then you can benefit from the thing. They said you can't redeem it. The Gemara starts off tricha. It's necessary to have the two cases. The two cases are exactly the same. One is about bread, and one is about a needle. It's about a garment. The same story. Either I heated it with wood or I sewed the garment. The same story. So the Yashmin Kamaisa, if you would talk about only the first one, the bread, why does Rabbi Lesson say over there that you can be lenient, you can redeem it? Mishum, it's a very lenient case. The beidna the kagamra pass, when the bread passes bread, when the bread is being completed, it's being baked, surah, the wood is being burnt. There's at the end result, there's no wood left. As the bread is improving, the wood is being consumed. So you're almost left as the bread is getting better. There's no Avodah Zara left. So maybe over there he says, well, there's no Avodah Zara left, so you could redeem it. You could redeem whatever it is by just throwing it in the sea, and you can eat the bread. It's a more lenient case. About karker, the isli sherbeni, but if you use a needle to sew a garment, maybe Rabbi say you can't redeem that. But take a look what's here. I have the needle still sitting here.
In the case of the oven, if it's the first cooking, it won't fix it. It will be the completion of the oven.
When does the oven get the hottest? As it's getting hotter, the wood is decreasing.
Yeah, but if it's the first cooking, wouldn't it consider like the completion of the oven? Is that part of the plate?
Yeah. And so what would I do? I would take money, the value of that oven or whatever, and throw it into the sea, and I can use the oven. It didn't say that clearly. It said there's different ways of learning this, what we talk about. But anyway, let's say, well, the Yashmin Karkif it only said the needle. Bakam Rabban over there, the Rabban say that you can't redeem it. I will pass, but it came to the bread. Maybe they would say that you can redeem it. Because as the bread is getting done, there's a decreasing.
It's transferring the tumor. Right?
Yes.
So that's good. And the bread is tumor bread. It's cooked with.
So for some reason, I would then say, I could think to say, so that now I could take money and throw that away. And then the value that I got from the wood is I lost it already. Not according to the Rabbana, but according to Rabbi Lezer, you can. So tzricha, it's necessary. Rav Chia Brei the Rabba Bar Nachmani, Rav Chizda Ziri, Alachik Rabbi Lezer. All these sages, Rav Chia, the son of Rabba Bar Nachmani, that's Rabba, says the name of Rav Chizda, that's his friend. He says the name of Zeiri, who's an earlier sage, a friend of Rav. He's Alachik Rabbi Lezer. Ikadamni, Rav Chizda, Amali Abba Bar Rav Chizda. Sounds like my son told me. Rav Chizda says that Abba Bar Rav Chizda said. Yes, it's his son. Achimar Zeiri is what Zeiri says. I know of the other children of Chizda, my Yenuka and my Kashisha, the young one and the old one. The children here, it's Abba Bar Rav Chizda. He says that so says the Iri Allah Amar about the Barava Leishanu Allah pass. When did the Rabbi say that you could redeem it? That's only if it's bread. But if I have a barrel of wine of Yayinessa, I can't. Over here, it's because there's no Avodah Zara left. You don't see the Avodah Zara in the. But when it comes to a barrel of wine, this itself was the problem. This is what's awesome. So Rashi points out that if I have a bunch of barrels of wine, I can sell all the barrels. And the one that was Avodah Zara, I just don't take money from it. He says that would be fine. Anyway, Rav Chizda Amar Afilu Chabas Mitzvah. Rav Chizda says you can even throw the value of the barrel into the river, into the Dead Sea, and that's good. Who covered this? Was a person that had a whole bunch of barrels of wine, and one barrel of yain nesek got mixed in. Also, comes to Rav Chizda. Amar Shkol Arba Zuzi. Take 4 zuz, shadi benara, throw it into the river. Finish trilach, and I'll permit it for you. You can drink you can drink the wine. You didn't get benefit from it.
Question. Finish.
Kates and Bavatla, how do you get rid of an Avodah Zara, an Asherah tree?
Yeah.
Kirsem, you take twigs off it to use. Maybe that's toothpicks or something. Zirid, if you take wet twigs. Take a stick off it, a sharvet or a staff of some sort, a scepter. Or even a leaf, a razor betela. The non-Jew that does this nullifies the tree. Why? Because you wouldn't do this if it was sacred. You wouldn't make personal use. Let's say you sand it down because you want to make it look nice. Then it's a surah. It becomes prohibited. However, but if it's not for its own benefit, so then it's muteris. Why are you shaving it down? You're destroying it. That's because you're nullifying it. And what do you do with the sawdust, the pieces that come when you're sanding it down for its own benefit? Now, what you're left with, there's 2 parts. One is now you beautified the idol or whatever it is. So it's not, even though you took some pieces off, but the pieces that it came off are not part of the idol. So it does become permissible. Well, Pigi Bar Rav Huna, the Rav Chia Bar Rav, or maybe it's just Rav Chia Bar Rav. Kadamar, one says assume Kadamar, one says it's prohibited, one says it's not. So we're talking about the shavings. Tanya Commander Matarim. We have a brisa that supports the one that says it's permissible. So Tanya was starting a brisa. If a non-Jew, an idolater, he shaves down the idol, he stands it down for his own benefit. I don't know why, his own benefit. He wanted the sawdust to pack up the party snappers.
There's so much fun.
Now they come in a package with sawdust.
Yeah.
So okay. See if it's time. For an inch. The letarka, but if it's for the idol, then it is prohibited. But take a look at this. The sawdust is permissible. Surprise that supports the one that says permissible. You know that a Jew cannot nullify an idol. So everything is usher. Everything is usher. Okay. We have a statement. We had this before. If an idol breaks, before we were talking about if it breaks on its own, is that considered that it was nullified? Because the non-Jew looks at it and he says, if it can't protect itself, then how's it supposed to protect me? But here we're talking about something else. Rav says, now that it broke, you have a bunch of pieces. You have to now go and nullify each one. Obviously, he holds that just that fact that it broke is not nullified. You have to go and nullify it specifically. Now, bear with me for a moment. He says that an idol is only nullified the way it grows. He says, Adirabba, what are you talking about? The way it grows, it gets nullified. This is what it means. You would only need to nullify it if it's in the way that it grows. But if it's broken, you don't even need to nullify it. So Shmuel has that lenient opinion that if it breaks, it becomes permissible. Maybe let us say that this is the machlekes. Rab holds that people still worship broken pieces of idols, relics, right? So he holds that people don't worship these broken pieces. The guy says lie. The everyone holds that they worship the broken pieces. Now it's when the broken pieces break into other pieces. Rav holds that the broken pieces need to be nullified. the broken pieces of the broken pieces. Marshav Shivish Shvar Mutarmin and Shmuel holds that it's permissible. Iba Yasema, we can say differently. The Kuliyama Shivish Shvar Mutar, everyone holds that the broken pieces of the broken pieces are permissible. We're talking about that it's made from folius literally means vertebrae, but it means it's made from pieces that can latch together, snap around, Legos, something like that, and it can be put together by even someone that's not an expert. One person says, well, if you cracked at a broken part, but anyone can put it back together, it's not considered broken. Other opinion holds that when does it need to be nullified? That's if the way that it grows and you need to nullify it. But over here, it's not the way to take it apart. You took it apart. It doesn't even need to be nullified. It's already nullified. Okay.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Rabbi. That was a great class. Okay.
That was a speed learning.
Okay.
Awesome.
Shkech.
Stein, good job in holding back.
Okay.
Did I had so
Okay.
many
Very
questions.
nice. See you in the morning.
I got the next one. I forgot.
I don't know if I'll be on. I'll be on a flight.
Okay.
Right through
Okay.
taking a red eye.
Okay. Okay. I'll talk about safe travels.
Okay.
Bye.
Shabbos.
Very